Hey guys, so in today's video, yes, I'm still recording video, even though I had like 2 weeks with no uploads, which I apologize for, but realistically, there's not much to actually talk about regarding either Battlefield 5 or even Apex at this point, which is what I want to talk about today. I mean Battlefield 5, not Apex. Is Battlefield 5 dying? And I know the statement might be a little bit exaggerated or absurd at this point because the game is fairly alive, there are still players playing the game, and I guess it depends how we define that game, but I read an interesting article on Reddit a couple days ago, which I lost then, and I cannot show the screenshots from it in the video, and I would love to actually credit the creator of it, so yeah, if someone manages to find it, let me know down in the comments, but the point was, if we look past all of the issues, or don't necessarily focus on all of the issues we're facing right now with Battlefield 5, is the game really interesting to play? Because for me and many other players, it doesn't really offer anything that would incentivize playing the game. And what I mean by saying it is, we don't have new content, or maybe we receive some new weapons every week or every other week because we still have like some mud on face paints. Then we have some melee weapons or cosmetics for the weekly rewards in Tides of War, but for the most part, we don't have any new maps to play on. And in my opinion, this is the biggest struggle of Battlefield 5 right now, that when players are leaving, they might not even care about the glitches or the game not functioning properly in certain areas, even though it came out 6 months ago, but the bigger issue is that it isn't really interesting to play it. At this point, we've played Battlefield 5 for, of course, assuming you bought it on the release, which was on the 8th of November 2018, it's almost 6 months. Or even 6 months. So it's quite boring to keep playing on the vanilla maps and then Panzerstorm, which was added a month after the release. And while we don't necessarily have any source to actually know about the actual player numbers in Battlefield 5, what is the exact number of players playing online, this still, for some reason, has not been implemented to the official API of Battlefield 5 by EA or DICE. Or EA DICE, whatever the name is. They still didn't open it up to the public, so not sure why, but it's not there, so we can't really judge it on the actual numbers. But what we can do is take a look at the viewer numbers on YouTube, take a look at the interest over at Twitch, and I know, it might not be 100% accurate representation of how much players are interested in certain games, but it still gives you some perspective on what's played, on what's popular, or what's interesting for the viewers, and Battlefield 5 isn't really anywhere near the top. From a creator's perspective, which is my perspective, at this point, Battlefield 5's interest, and it's not that I'm negative, I'm looking at the statistics, I'm looking at the numbers, and from what I see in those numbers, not even basing it on my channel, looking across all of the channels in the Battlefield niche, apart from Jackfrags, but people don't watch Jackfrags for Battlefield, people watch Jackfrags for Jackfrags, at least majority of them, because dude is pulling crazy numbers even on Fortnite or PUBG or anything he plays. Everyone's views are going down, including streamers, YouTubers, and that's all we have in the Battlefield community basically, but they're going down and they're practically lower than they used to be in Battlefield 1 almost 2 years after the game came out, which is crazy if you actually think about it, because it's only been like 5.5, 6 months since Battlefield 5 launched, which is a huge difference, and at this point I'm legit pretty worried about the future of Battlefield 5. I'm not saying it to exaggerate, I'm saying it because I'm legit worried about what will happen, because, in case you didn't notice yet, if Battlefield 5 goes down, so does well, not necessarily my channel, but my passion for creating videos was sparked by Battlefield series, and I'm doing Battlefield because I like Battlefield, not necessarily because there is views on Battlefield, which we already established. There isn't that much of those, but still, like, I'm worried if this game will actually survive till fall. Because till then, in May, at the end of it, we're only getting one new map. And I can bet everything, it's not even going to have all of the game modes. It's going to be like 2-3 game modes and the others will not be there. Same like with the Panzerstorm. Then in June we will have EA Play and there will be the 5 vs 5 competitive mode showcased there, but we don't know if the game mode will actually be released after EA Play, or during after EA Play, or shortly after the event ends, but for all we know, it might be the alpha of the product and then the final product might come out 2 months after that. What happens till then? I mean, realistically, the interest is constantly going down. We're not getting enough new content, at least in my opinion, to satisfy the player base. We're kind of not getting enough fixes for the game which isn't functioning properly as it should be, for the past 6 months by the way, and it really starts to show. Even if you're not some sort of a tryhard player who puts all of their free time into learning the mechanics of Battlefield and how to play the game, how certain stuff works, or why certain stuff doesn't work as it is supposed to work because it's glitched or there is some sort of problems within the game. Even players who are just playing the game casually to spend their time like once or twice a week, they're starting to notice something's wrong. They might not necessarily know the details of why it's not working, but they can actually see it's not performing as it should be. The game still has massive problems, 6 months later. And I'm legit worried the whole situation might turn into a PUBG-like scenario where PUBG, well, the core game, it's actually great, but the amount of problems it had throughout its life cycle, or since the beginning of its life cycle, because it's not dead yet, it's still alive and it's doing pretty well, but if we compare the numbers it used to have to the numbers it has now, there has been a massive drop in the player numbers, because at some point players realized the game isn't working as it should be. There's not enough updates being put out, there is not enough new content that keeps them interested in playing, and also the game simply doesn't work as they wish it would. It's that simple. And if we really are approaching this tipping point at which the game will just start losing massive amount of players rapidly because no one will want to keep playing it, of course there will be still some players left, same like with Battlefield 4 when the game was quite broken for the first year and many players left. There were still players playing the game, but it wasn't that great in terms of player numbers, and the same thing might happen here. With only difference is that Battlefield 5 is kept alive from the microtransactions, which then again have to be purchased by players who are playing the game. And if they're not, well, who is there to purchase those microtransactions to keep the game alive and fund new content? I don't aim to be pessimistic or discourage anyone from playing the game. If you like playing it, then of course, go for doing it. It's what the game is supposed to be about, having fun in the end. But I'm legit worried, as I mentioned it already way too many times throughout the video, that it's not looking good. And it didn't look good with Battlefield 1, even though it was still better than the current situation of Battlefield 5, so I'm not really sure what's happening, what will happen. I'm just hoping the game will not die out before the end of 2019, which, well, let's hope it won't happen. Anyway guys, as always, if you enjoyed, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and I see you on the battlefield. See ya!